Hi, I'm Dan from the Rock Nerd Radio Show. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are still looking at my table full of toys. I have opened some stuff, I have moved some stuff around, but today I think I want to take a look at the new Transformers Studio Series 86 Springer. We're going to be doing a which is better style comparison with him and the War for Cybertron Voyager class Springer, and we'll see if we can't determine which one is the better Springer.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
Well, like I said, we are doing a which is better comparison today, looking at two Springer figures. We are going to be taking a look at the War for Cybertron Siege version over here on the left, and the Studio Series 86 version over here on the right. They are both in robot mode. What I am going to do real quick is on the screen, you are going to see both of their helicopter modes right now. And how about both their car modes? Honestly, that just saves me the time of having to transform both of these. Being triple changers, their transformations are a little difficult. Anyway, looking at the overall robots now, I'm doing it this way because, first off, I don't display my Transformers in their vehicle mode. I always display them in their robot mode. So this is really the mode I tend to focus on. But looking at these two figures, we'll look at our War for Cybertron version first. My first round is all about the paint and overall appearance of the figures, and this figure, he looks pretty sturdy. Like, if you're looking at him, he's standing well. A lot of people did say that this figure had some weak ankles. On mine, they're not weak at all. They're not floppy. I guess I just got a good copy. I don't know if that's going to break down over time. It definitely does scare me that it could. But it looks like a pretty sturdy figure. The biggest problem that I have with this Springer is the Siege paint damage deco. I will say in certain spots it really does shine kind of nicely. Like, it brings out some of the details in the legs here with this silver kind of, splashes of paint thrown at it, as well as on the other side of the legs. It does bring out some really nice detail, even at like the kneecap pad here. In other places, I don't think it looks as good, and that would be like here on the chest. I don't love the gray rust paint along the sides of him. I don't love how the yellow looks tarnished. I would have rather had that just been a solid color. It's not the worst thing in the world. I will say I do like the bright green paint job that this has, and I do like that his face is different. It kind of differentiates his face from the helmet he's wearing, and you do get a lot of that dual tone kind of green color there. You can see it there at the bottom of the face, or the head. You can kind of see it shining through in the back here, how this is a darker color. So overall, I do really like this Springer. Looking at our Studio Series one, the green on this is a little duller, in my opinion. It doesn't look quite as bright. I know he wasn't the brightest green character in the show, but it does look a little duller, I will say that. Although we do have some pops of gray here, his hands being the correct colors, that is something to talk about as well. I will say, I feel like neither of these are 100% screen accurate, because looking at that character's original screen design, like even this grill part here that, is a big part of transformation, isn't really that loud, that it doesn't pop as much on the animation design, which I'm putting over here on the screen so that you can kind of compare how this looks. Anyway, taking that away and looking back at this Springer, it does look pretty good. It does share some parts from the Siege Springer, namely the entire lower leg. And this one, mine does have weak ankles. If you notice when he's standing, I kind of have to keep putting his legs forward. If you're looking at him dead on, it looks fine. But if you look at him like this, you can kind of see the bend in the body shape, just to get him to stand up straight. This also does have the ability to kind of have these shoulder pieces move, so you can pose them however you like. I tend to like them to be kind of flat, like the Siege one has, but I know in the animation they were normally drawn being angled. I will say that with them angled, if his arms are flat down, you have this big opening in terms of like pieces there, which I don't think looks that great. I gotta be honest about that one. But yeah, like he kind of has to stand at a weird angle just to stand up straight. But he's not terrible, and this paint definitely is closer to what we get in the animation. He's definitely not bright green. So this is kind of a hard round for me to call. I guess just by a nose, I'm going to give it to Studio Series. He doesn't have the battle damage paint, which I do. I like that I'm not constantly worrying about the battle damage paint being something that's kind of an eyesore. But yeah, just by a little bit, this Springer, our Studio Series one, is going to win round one. Well, let's look at the articulation for both of these figures next, and we'll start with our Siege one. Starting at the head, it obviously moves left to right, and it gets a little bit of up and down on there. Going down to the body, we do have rotation down here. Little limited because of this transformation bit, so the hinge there limits how far his waist is going to turn, but it does rotate. Looking at the arms, we're going to get full 360 around. Oh, actually, am I not? Oh, I'm not able to get full 360 around. There is something inhibiting that. I can't tell what, but something is stopping it from going all the way around. These shoulder pieces will move too, so you can angle them as far down or back, however you want, when you are posing him up. So there is that. The arms will move out about that much. So they don't go fully out, but they do go out. In terms of elbow, we also have a full rotation right underneath the shoulder there. We have a 90-degree elbow bend, which, a little bit more than 90 degrees, as you can see. And then the hands will rotate in a circle. So, pretty much standard articulation. It stinks that his arm can't go fully around, but I'm not really having his hand go behind him, so I don't think it's the biggest problem. Going down to the legs, we do have a waist piece, which, we have a forward kick, and the waist piece will move with it. So he can kick pretty high. He can also kick back pretty far, all the way back. Legs will go out all the way, so he could do a full split if he wanted him to. There you go. We have rotation at the thigh, goes all the way around. It is a mushroom peg, as you can see right there. At the knee, we have some deep bend, so a little more than 90 degrees. And you could bend it more if you wanted to because of transformation. There is this joint here, so you can get like a fully back kick. We're going to talk about that ankle in a moment. But yeah, so good movement there. Nothing else as you move down the leg until you get to the foot. Of course, the foot will go forward and back a little bit. There's a little bit of back on it. And there is a swivel pivot there as well, so you can get him in some deep stances with his, with the ankles still flat on the ground. So pretty good articulation. Pretty neat. At the time when Siege was the toy line that was coming out, the Transformers team was making some real improvements on how well these figures move, and he definitely shows that off. Looking at our new one, his head will also move left to right and a little bit of up and down. Not as much. Not that there was a lot on the Siege one, but not as much. Looking at the body, again, we do have that twist at the waist, but again, there is a piece here right by my finger there that blocks the waist going all the way around. So there is that. In terms of the arms, these will also not go fully around, as you can see. But there is, rather than the twist being up here by the shoulder, it's actually down here on the elbow. So it does rotate that way. And we have some bend, not as much as the other one. Again, a little more than 90 degrees, but the wheel really gets in the way, inhibits how well that's going to turn. Unlike the last one, these shoulder pieces, I have trouble getting them to move on their own. They will rotate, like I said, left to right, so you can alter however you want these positioned. When the arms move out, these also kind of move, so that can also affect how, these are placed and moving and things like that. So that is something to know. But yeah, I don't love the arm movement on this one. Going down, like I said, past the bend at the elbow, the hands will rotate and these hands will open. So we have an extra bit of articulation there in that the hands do open. Moving down to the legs, again, they're going to kick forward and they're going to kick back and they are going to kick all the way out. So you can do splits. Of course, deep knee bend, and it should transform the same way. There we go. Because the lower leg is the same, you can get that fall kick right there. And because the feet are the same, forward, back, and we have tilt out. So There we go. So pretty much the same amount of articulation on this Springer as the 86, as the Studio Series. No, I'm sorry, as the Siege one. But our Studio Series 86 just has one extra feature, which is the opening hands. I'm not really displaying my Transformers with open hands, but it is a feature that is there. I can't deny that. So my second round, the articulation round, is going to our Studio Series 86 Springer. Again, just by a little bit. Well, let's talk about accessories with these figures, and we're going to look at the Siege Springer first. So I'm going to put him in the center of the frame. Now, Siege Springer came with a lot of weapons. The first thing he came with is this propeller piece that does indeed spin. This is something that you can stick on him. It hides away pretty easily. Honestly, the entire time I've had this figure, it's been sitting here on his back, and you would never really know that it was there. It does have a purpose. It has a function, because Springer also comes with two swords. Now, he can wield these swords, or you can plug them into this spinny bit to make helicopter blades. And then when you spin this, you have a spinning helicopter blade. And it does look pretty good, considering it's just made of two swords. It is still pretty convincing. So, not a bad thing. I'm going to put that aside. Of course, like I said, there are two swords. I'm not sure, I forget if these tabs that you see on the swords help them fit into something. I want to say they do, but I honestly don't remember. I think you can even make them, no, you can't make them fit into each other. I take that back. So, two swords, looks pretty cool. He also has two blasters. They are different, so I'll show you here so you can see the shape of them. One has, like, you know, this crown piece, the side pieces, and this one is like a little flatter. They can fit into each other, so you can do that big Siege like weapon combination gimmick. Or if you want to, oops, sorry, as I hit the camera. Or if you want to go a little nuts, you can plug a sword into the back of one and have a reverse bayonet or something. I don't know. Siege got crazy with all of its weapon upgrade pieces. But all these things will fit on Springer, so I'll show you now. Like I already said, the propeller piece you can stick on the back here. There are tabs here, and you can just hang a sword right here if you want. You can take one of the weapons and you can peg this on him. I swear there's a spot for this. Sorry, it was right in front of me. Let's focus. There we go. These peg holes here, you can just hang a gun on. And of course, you can put the other gun here and the other sword on this side. But he does have two fists, so why not make him hold two weapons? So here is Springer holding one of the guns and one of the swords. And this does look pretty good. You know, he can look pretty menacing with these. He can look pretty neat. Yeah, I like these accessories. I think they fit the character well. You know, for what we saw the character having, he, you know, these are appropriate for him. So I think he looks very good with these weapons. Our Studio Series Springer has a lot of weapons, and I'm going to grab them all now. You might hear them kind of rustling off on the side here, but the first thing to show off is this very large blaster that he comes with. And when he holds it, it looks almost comically large. This is a very big blaster. Is it accurate to the animation? Yes. However, Ultra Magnus also held a blaster that looked like this. So part of me feels like maybe this was meant for Ultra Magnus and not Springer. You can tab this onto his back if you want. You see there is this little black tab here and these little slots here. So you can just tab this into his back if you want, and it sits there nicely. You can kind of see it sticking out on his back though, which I'm not always a fan of, but I feel like there might be other tabs on here that we could focus on. We'll get there. Another accessory that he comes with is the missile from the attack on Autobot City. Yes, he loaded this into the missile launcher and it shot. This is like comically oversized, I feel like. I mean, granted, this is something they're throwing at Devastator. It should probably be big, and while he has no way to hold this, you can, once again, peg it onto his back. And then if it goes off, you have a Springer flying in robot mode. These make him very back heavy. As you can see, he is having trouble standing now. So I might not leave them both on here because I do want Springer to stand. Come on. All right, there we go. He's leaning forward a little bit. Okay, next accessory is this giant sword. And this sword actually has a function in that it becomes helicopter blades. Of course, they are facing the same way, which isn't how helicopter blades work. They will spin, and there are these two handle bits. One can be used as a handle, one can just kind of act as the middle piece of the sword when you combine the sword. It looks nice combined. Again, I think this is a little too large, so I'm going to stick this on his back because we have all of these options. And ooh, hang on, let me move everything else out of the way. There we go. So now the helicopter blade is on his back. I'm going to put the missile back on his back. And I'm going to put the gun back on his back. I'm doing all of this for a reason, I swear. That will be revealed in just a moment. Okay, so more stuff on Springer's back. I'm just going to have him lean against that. He comes with more accessories. He has the same blasters as the Siege Springer. So again, you can plug these into each other and make a giant blaster if you wish. You could do whatever you want with these. You could, honestly, he does have these peg holes here on his arms. You can plug them into his arms. So you can have like blaster arms if you wish. I'm going to have him hold one and keep the other one pegged onto his arm. And wait, there is more. So the other things are falling off Springer now. The other accessories that he has, one is an animation accurate sword. This is obviously not as big as the propeller sword, and it is done up in silver and this bluish gray, which looks good. You can hold that. And then finally, the last thing that Springer comes with is this Wrecker hammer. And first off, it has space for like the Wrecker insignia. It's not painted on there, which I find weird. But this is something that, I don't know, Hasbro really seems like they're trying to push this idea of the Wrecker hammer. And I don't care. This was definitely not included in the animation. The figure has it. Okay, it has a peg, so you can peg it on wherever there are those little slots. The thing I was doing with it before, I was just sticking it in this gun to just sit on his arm. Oop, hang on. But in order to do that, you kind of have to move some stuff around. So there we go. So it sits like that. I'm going to put the missile back on. There we go. Just to show you that this Springer can indeed hold every single one of these weapons on him. It makes him very back heavy, but he can house everything on his person. Is it neat? Yes. Are some of them more show accurate, animation accurate? Yes. Do I think it's a little overkill? Absolutely. You know, what we're going to be talking about in a minute is the price tag of these figures. And I feel like all these accessories bumped him up to an unnecessary price point. I will say I'm giving this round to Studio Series Springer. There are the animation accurate accessories. There is more. I don't think you need them all on him. I think this one does a better job of hiding all of the accessories and, you know, loading them up. You don't really need a separate storage bag or have a figure that's falling over. So you know what? No, screw that. I'm reversing my decision. This one, our Siege one, is getting the accessory one because all of these fit on him very nicely. He's not back heavy. They hide pretty well. Like, yeah, there's a sword sticking off of him. Yeah, there's a blaster on his back. But it's not as messed up as this monstrosity of accessories. So yeah, so animation be damned. I'm giving round 3 to our Siege version of Springer. My fourth round is about the price and availability of these figures, and I kind of alluded to it just a moment ago. We're going to start with the Studio Series Springer. Because of all of his weapon loadout, Hasbro is charging you $55, a leader class price point for this figure. He's even called a leader class on his box. I don't agree with this. You know, this is essentially, it has part reuse of a Voyager class figure. It has some weapon reuse, and then they just added a bunch of extra stuff that I think really looks too big. Like, this missile is comically large. This blaster is comically large. And even the rotor blades, like, I'm never going to use this as a sword because it looks stupidly big. I'd rather have him just holding a smaller sword and a smaller blaster. I don't need the Wrecker hammer. That, I think, is a waste of money. And, yeah, you know, the other blaster, yeah, I want to keep that on him. I could keep it strapped to his arm to imitate that one time he opened up his arm and a blaster came out. Sure. I think this looks fine for Springer. This is like the bare minimum of the accessories he needs, and he really does look fine with these. And now that I've taken all these extra pieces off, he's standing up straight. Look at that. Our Siege Springer, when it came out, Voyager class figures were going for about $30. I think they're $35 now. You can still find that Springer though for anywhere between $30 to $40. Honestly, that is a hell of a better price than $55. It's anywhere from $20 to $15 less. So yeah, if price is your biggest factor, Siege Springer wins out. Definitely wins out round 4. I think he is a much better value. And as usual, my last round is about the display compatibility of these figures. Look, I've had Siege Springer sitting on my Studio Series shelf with the other movie Autobots for as long as I've had a display set up. This one I just got, I haven't really put him on the shelf yet. So let's compare them with some Studio Series bots. We're going to put Studio Series RC down, who is always a little smaller than Springer, but altogether, they don't look bad. Obviously, a clean deco on RC, so maybe this matches a little more. Let's get RC out of the way for a moment. Let's bring in Cup. And this was the Buzzworthy Target exclusive Cup. I like this one better than the regular Studio Series one. So there we go. Again, a bit more of a clean deco on this Cup. And then let's bring in Hot Rod. Here is Hot Rod, and this is the first release Studio Series Hot Rod. So there we go. That is how they all look together. You know, I'm going to put them all back out for a second. The thing with RC and Hot Rod, you know, they are bright characters. Their color schemes are very bright and you know, like I don't want to say futuristic-y, but young and bright. Cup, of course, is like the grizzled old war vet. His colors are a little drab. Springer always fell somewhere in between. He wasn't as young as Hot Rod, but he wasn't as old as Cup. So really, it comes down to like, what colors do I think are going to work better on a shelf? What overall paint scheme is going to work better? And I still really like the Siege Springer's coloring the best, but I will admit that I think our Studio Series Springer, his paint is going to work better with our Studio Series figures. It doesn't mean that I love this Springer. I'm actually, this has been a very hard decision to make, just in terms of which round, who gets what. Yeah, this Springer might fit in just a little better than, see, I don't even like saying that. I mean, it's more animation accurate. It's not 100% accurate, but it is more animation accurate. He is very gappy though. Like I said before, like he has these gaps. So I, you know, really, which one am I gonna say wins this round? Because whoever wins this round wins this edition of Which is Better. So I think I really do have to give it to Studio Series 86 Springer. The color works a little better. He doesn't have that battle damage paint, so he will kind of fit with the rest of the robots because they weren't battle damaged in the movie. So yeah, round 5 is going to Studio Series Springer. I'll be the first to admit, when the Transformers team announced that there was a new Springer coming, I was very excited because I thought this was going to be great. I got it in hand. I was definitely a little disappointed, but there are just a few little features in this figure that make me feel okay with replacing my Siege one with the Studio Series one. And like I said, Studio Series wins out, but it was very close. And I'm still not even sure if I'm making the right call. I would love to know what you think about these Springer figures. Which one are you keeping on your shelf? Honestly, like I've said before, sometimes just because one figure wins on Which is Better doesn't mean I'm getting rid of the other one. I'm not getting rid of my War for Cybertron Siege Springer. I think this is a very cool figure, and I still really like him, so he's not going anywhere. But our Studio Series will be hanging out with the rest of the bots on my Studio Series movie-type shelf. So there you go. There are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you have a preferred Springer? Do you want to yell at me and tell me why one is definitely better than the other? Let me know. Keep it civil. That's all I ask. But until next time, hey, I've been Dan. You've all been pretty awesome, and I'll see you around. Well, there we go. What did you think of this video? Sound off in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Remember, we are making a push to get to 700 subscribers here on the channel. If we do that before the HasLab Giant Man arrives, I will be giving away the old Toy Biz Giant Man Build-A-Figure. that you've seen on my shelf and things like that. So hit subscribe, leave a comment, hit like if you're so inclined, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.